Hello, technically ingenious coders. My name is Shawn, and I will be your instructor today. You're watching Lesson 6 of the Python 4 Beginner series. In this lesson, we will learn about string methods, the if and else statements, Boolean values, and other major and minor things associated with those. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay guys, let's go ahead and begin with our string methods. So make a variable called level and assign it the string novice Python programmer. Again, that's novice Python programmer. And then call the print statement or print function, whatever it is you like to call it. And okay, beware, this is a new function that you've not heard before, and I do want you to pay special attention. It is the len function. L-E-N. When we use this function, what we're telling Python to do is to give us a count in characters of how many digits or how many letters or whatever it is are in a string or a numerical set or whatever it is. So we're going to put our variable level, and if in theory when we run this, Python should give us 24, which is the correct character count for our variable, and yep, indeed, it does give us 24. 24 does include the spaces. Do note, very important note, that Python, when you do the indexing of len, it does include the spaces when it does count those characters. And those are really general purpose functions. Len and print are both general purpose functions. They are not specific to strings. They are used everywhere when you're doing numbers and other things and other things and other things. Do note that these are not actually string methods. These are general purpose functions. So let's do an actual string method, which is specific to strings and is not used everywhere, only strings. So put our variable, level, and then if we put a dot, these are all the string methods. If you scroll down, you can see there are a lot of them. And of course, we're not going to use all of them today, and a lot of these are more focused on object-oriented Python programming, and we're not going to be doing that quite yet because right now, we are still learning the basics and fundamentals. Anyway, let's go ahead and put upper, and then just do 2 parentheses, and wrap this around in a print statement. And guess what we're gonna get if we print that. All right, let's run it. See if your guess was right. If you guessed it was gonna give it in all caps, you're correct. Do note, this is a very, very important note. When Python does do this, it does not at all affect the original string. So the novice Python programmer part is still novice Python programmer in its regular form. To prove that, we can put print and just put our regular variable there, which is level. And if we run this, as you can see, that has not affected the original thing at all. Instead, what it does is it makes a duplicate of that and it modifies that and it shows you that modified duplicate. So again, it does not, these string methods, none of them do not affect the original string in any way. Okay, so moving on, we're going to use our next string method, which is lower. Level.lower. You can go ahead and remove this line because it's not needed anymore. And just go ahead and keep that other line beneath it though, just so you can see in real life, real proof, that none of these do affect the original string. So if we run this program, Python gives us this in all lowercase letters, which is, of course, if you did expect that, you're correct. And that is really just pure Python interpreting, and it is incredibly useful in a lot of situations. And again, I have said this a lot, but I'm going to say it one more time. When you do get into coding more lines, longer programs, and more programs, of course, these are really going to help you because, of course, for a programmer, time is everything. You've definitely heard the statement, time is money. Well, forget money. Time is everything for programmers. So anything that will make something simpler or faster is worth it for a programmer. Okay, so our next method is going to be the .title method. So what the dot title method does is it returns a string where the first character in every word is uppercase. It's like a header or a title. So let's go ahead and change our headings to lowercase. And if we run this, if we run this, as you can see, it has given us everything in its original manner because it has capitalized the first ones of each thing. So say if we added another word, which is, let's just say, you, and we ran this, again, it does capitalize the first letter on every word. Let's go ahead and restore this to its defaults with the uppercase things on each one. Python and novice. Okay, so next up is the .find method. So what this does is it finds a certain word, phrase, or a letter inside of your string. So if we put find, and we go ahead and put a letter which is included, so let's go ahead and put the N in novice, and do note, very important note, that this method is case sensitive, which means if we put a lowercase n and we tried to run this, it would give us -1, which means it does not exist. And so just definitely note that this is case sensitive. So if we run it with our capital N, it gives us 0, which of course 0, Python does start its indexing with 0, as we learned in the previous lesson, and that is why the capital N is 0. And if we put another letter, such as, let's just say O, and we ran the program, it gives us 1, because that is the first instance of O. Okay, so the other thing it can do is our actual phrases and words. So let's say we wanted to find Python. If we run this, it gives us 7, which is where that actually starts. And that is the magic of Python. It finds it, it doesn't give you anything that's too difficult to comprehend, but it properly finds it, and everything is just so useful. And again, I keep stressing it, but this is why Python is so useful, so important, and so worth learning. Okay, so next up, we have the .replace method, actually. So let's just say that we wanted to replace programmer with programmers. So what we would do is first we change this to .replace, and then we'd put whatever we wanted to replace, which is going to be programmer. Again, do note that this is case sensitive. Programmer, and then put a comma, and then put what you want to replace it with. So in this case, we want to replace it with programmers. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there is a thunderstorm out there, so I do apologize if there are any disturbances because of that. And if we run this, as you can see, it has properly replaced our string with what we want, or our word with what we want to replace it with. And we can really do anything. It doesn't have to be programmer. Let's just say we wanted to replace N with R. If we run this, it gives us a Ravis Python programmer. So everything works as expected. And of course, do you remember, it does not affect the original string at all. Okay, so that is the end of our string methods section. Next up, Boolean values. So, Boolean values. Let me give you an extremely complicated, extremely hard to understand, extremely difficult to comprehend definition of Boolean values. Okay, ready for it? True or false? That's it. True or false? I'm not kidding. Those are the only things that really exist when we talk about Boolean values. A Boolean value is either true or false. Nothing else. So let's go ahead and make a Boolean value. So a print statement, and in this Boolean value, we're really going to find something inside this string. So let's say we're trying to find novice. We're going to put novice in level. And do note that in is the Boolean value here. There's not really, if we removed in, this would not any longer be a Boolean value. So this is really the Boolean value. In is the Boolean value in this line. So let's go ahead and run this. And we get true, because there is novice inside this. Now, this is case sensitive, and to just prove to you that, if I change this to a lowercase n, we get false, because there is no novice that starts with a lowercase n in this string. So before we do finish this section, let me go ahead and give you an overview of the difference between the in operator, which is this, and the find operator, which we talked about earlier. So the in operator, of course, creates a Boolean value, and you're asking Python the question, does this exist in my code? For the find operator, it finds a value. So you're really asking Python, where is it if it exists in my code? And do note that the find operator does not create a Boolean value. So next up, we've got our if and else statements. Before we do that, I want to give you a very quick overview of what we've learned so far. Okay, so we learned about the general functions, len, which is new for you, and print, which you've already known about. Along with that, we learned about the string methods that are that are going to be dot upper, dot lower, dot title, dot find, dot replace, and the Boolean value, so whatever it is in level. So if you do need to, feel free to wind back and review what we've learned so far. But other than that, we're moving on to the if and else statements. Okay, so before we actually start writing our code for our else and if statements, we have to first know what we're going to be talking about. So you don't have to follow along here, but I do want you to keep your eyes and ears open. So, okay, so we're going to be talking about a lemonade stand, and what we're going to tell Python to do is, if there are a lot of customers, then raise the prices. If there are the same amount of customers, keep the prices the same, and if there are very few customers, lower the prices. So what we're really going to be telling Python to do, again, I'm not actually programming right now, I'm just writing what we're going to do in English. So if it's a good day with lots of customers, then we want to raise the prices. Oops. If otherwise, we're going to lower the prices. And of course, you may have already noticed, there also needs to be another otherwise for our actual scenario of the customer amount being the same. Otherwise, keep the prices the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and start actually coding. So we need to make two variables first. One about the scenario if there are a lot of people, and one if there are very few. So we're going to make a variable called rlot, and we're going to make that false for now. Again, this is a Boolean value. And another variable, which is going to be rFew, and that's going to also be false. Again, this is we're going to change this later on, but for now, just set them both to false. And okay, so this is the actual if-else statement part. So we're going to put if rlot, then we're going to put print it's a great day with lots of customers. Let me change that to an I. With lots of customers, raise the prices. Okay, and then the other scenario, else, print, there are few customers, lower the prices. Lower the prices. And if we run our program right here, there are few customers, lower the prices. And the reason for this is because both conditions are currently set to false. If we change our lots to true, and we run this, it's a great day with lots of customers. raise the prices, as expected. And you might have already noticed that these are, of course, there are no spaces in between these, and if you do want to add those, just add a space before each of the second lines. And if we run this program again, as you can see, the issue is fixed. Okay, so you may have already thought about it. There is another scenario that we talked about. What if the customer amount is the same? Well, in that scenario, we'd actually have to use another if or else statement. And that is actually not an if or an else statement. It's sort of a mix of the two. It is elif. This, of course, is short for else if. And we're going to put elif are few. And go ahead and just keep it the same, but I, of course, deleted it, so I'm just going to go ahead and write it again. Print, there are few customers. Few customers. Lower the prices. And then we're going to make it an else statement, like we had previously. Else, the customer count is the same. Don't change the prices. Okay, so currently we have our lots and our few both set to false if we run our program. The customer count is the same. Don't change the prices. Of course, that is because both are false, which means that there are not any separate things inside this. However, if we do actually change this to true and run our program, it's a great day with lots of customers. Raise the prices. And if we set this to false and this to true and run our program again, there are few customers. Lower the prices. Okay, so I have a challenge for you. Let's say that you're interviewing a guy for a job. So let's say that we want, if the guy has a good resume, to accept him. If he doesn't, if he has a very bad resume, reject him. And if he has a resume that probably needs more thinking, then we need to tell him that he needs to go home and that we will tell him about what we decided later on. So go ahead and pause the video, try it, and you'll see my solution up next. Now here's my solution. Of course, do remember that as long as you get the same or at least a very similar output as me, then you're fine. Of course, different people are going to try it different ways, and as long as you do get the same or at least a very similar solution to me, of course you are okay. So, okay, let's go ahead and set our variables first. So, for me, I'm just going to put has good, and of course you'd want to put a variable more descriptive than that, but to save time, I'm just going to put has good, and we're going to put false for now, of course, just to set it up, and has bad, and we're going to set that to false for now. Okay, now we're going to start the if and else statement. So if has good, print you are accepted. Welcome to this company. Okay, and then we're going to put elif has bad, and we're going to put has bad, print sorry, you don't meet the qualifications for this job. And then we're going to make an else statement. Else print please go home for now. We will contact you. We will contact you later. Okay. So currently both of our variables are set to false. Let's run our program. Go home for now. We'll contact you later because our variables are set to false. He does not have a bad resume. He does not have a good resume. Let's set has good to true. You're accepted. Welcome to this company. Let's change that to false. And this to true. And let's run it. And of course to sorry, you do not meet the qualifications for a job. As a thought experiment, let's put both at true and run our program. So this will actually say you are accepted, welcome to this company, and the reason for this is because we have put if has good before has bad, and that is really the reason why, and it's the only reason why this is first. If we had to put has bad before has good, and if you want to do that, go ahead and try it because it is a pretty cool experiment to do. And then it would have it would have certainly said, sorry, you do not meet the qualifications for this job. If you do want to try that, go ahead. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate the guys who watch my channel, and please do subscribe. Videos like this can take up to and well over 10 hours. This video, in fact, took over 10 hours with everything combined, and we really do appreciate everyone who subscribes because it really does make us feel like there are people who appreciate that all the hard work we're doing, and it also makes us feel like people actually do like what we're doing. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you feel like we deserve it, and I'll see you in the next lesson or another video.